and campaigner Helena Kennedy.
Can I get it done? Well, I too want to say how wonderful it is to see so many people I know, many people from the profession, many people from legal campaigns who I've worked with over the years. And it's so important to see you all here. This is going to be a serious battle because what we're seeing is this is part of a piece of attacks generally on people who do public interest work, who do the kind of work that is for the majority of the people in our society. And we've seen it, an attack on health workers, we've seen it on teachers, we've seen it on social workers, and now they're turning to us. And we've got to make common cause with all of those people who are being undermined and denigrated, and the work that they do is not being valued. So I want to just turn to this attack on legal aid. I actually do think that we will be able to mount a legal challenge in the courts under Article 6 of the Human Rights Act. But it shouldn't get to that. We should make sure that this campaign prevents that ever being necessary. And the reason why this campaign is so vital is because it affects so many people up and down this country, but it affects the quality of our system as a whole. One of the reasons why people look to Britain, whatever the flaws in our system, is that they still see it as being something to admire because of lawyers like all of you. And I just wanted to mention to you that I've just come back from a conference where I was speaking on women's rights in the Arab world. And there were many lawyers present, many lawyers who were talking about wanting to have a legal system where there was access to justice of a real kind. And I'm afraid that's being destroyed in this country. It's being destroyed. And the thing is, we've got to persuade the general public. We've got to persuade the general public that this actually could have impact on their lives too. It could be their child who's arrested. It could be their son or daughter, their spouse, somebody in their family who ends up being brought before the courts, who is innocent, who needs to be well represented, and who doesn't deserve to be given somebody from the supermarket of law that's going to be provided. We've got to make sure that the argument is made that this is about undermining the system as a whole. And we've seen it happening in civil law now, with legal aid being taken away from family law, from immigration, from welfare, but now it's being taken away from an area where the liberty of the subject is going to be affected. And we know it is the Americanization of the system. It's going to be about creating, essentially, public defenders who will be chosen by the state for you. And you will get the guy who's down at the court, who will do every person who's appearing in front of the court that day, and you'll be lucky if you get minutes to explain your case. When we know it involves the creation of trust, that you need to basically spend time to get somebody to be confident enough to tell you their story so that you can step into their shoes and represent them well in the courtroom. So this is a disgrace. And I want to ask you a question. How much public money, money from the public purse, is being spent on lawyers that the government choose to represent them?
Too much, too much.
How much was Jonathan Sungshin paid for representing Tony Blair in front of the Hutton inquiry?
Too much.
So we really have to talk about fairness across the system, and that if you are talking about trying to look at how you might, for example, make savings, this is not the area, because this is going to affect ordinary people in terrible ways, and we know it because we've been alongside them in the cells, in courtrooms, and with them when their families see how the system can often get it wrong. And we're going to see many miscarriages of justice if we don't get this right. So we have to stand together, we have to persuade everybody we know, and we have to take part in this consultation individually and get everybody to do it with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Helena Kennedy.